My aunt expected me to be okay with babysitting 30 hours a week for $50, and when I told her I was quitting because I couldn't do it anymore, she dared to say I couldn't, so we'll see who can't quit when I don't show up next week. Anyways, this year I, 17F, am a junior in high school. I was looking for a job that wouldn't be too stressful / take up too much time but still allow me to save up for a car. Currently, I have a full schedule and am taking an online college course. My aunt contacted me a few weeks into the school year asking if I could babysit her 7-year-old daughter for varying hours after school. She said depending on how many hours I worked, she would pay me from $50 to $100 a week. I thought that was fine, it was only after school for a few hours, ect. My aunt lives in the same town as me, so I just rode the bus home with her daughter. For the first few weeks, it was fine. She paid consistently, she was nice, ect. I do not really like the kid. I don't really connect with kids well, but I didn't think it would be too much of an issue since I'm not trying to raise it. However, this kid is honestly one of the worst behaved kids I have ever met. Around her mom, she acts like an angel. Around me, not so much. Some incidents include running away when I wouldn't let her eat a can of frosting, faking an asthma attack and pretending not to know where her inhaler was, so I called her mom an almost 911, and throwing / breaking things such as glass when she gets angry. Then, her mom increases the hours that I'm working, but not the pay. Currently I work from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. every day, and get paid $50 a week. I have tried explaining that I refuse to work 25 to 35 hours a week for $50. Whenever I say this, she gets really upset and even cried once about how she can't afford to pay me anymore. I feel really guilty, but I keep noticing that she buys her daughter expensive toys weekly, she's into magic, and she just bought her a magic kit that was over $150. Whenever I bring up these things, she says that no one will watch her kid, she will have to lose her job, ect. My grades are suffering because I am in primarily honors / AP classes and I don't have the time to do homework or even study for my SATs/ACTs, because my aunt does not let me do homework while I'm with her daughter. She says I can't focus on her daughter and the work at the same time. So I get home, do my work until 1 a.m. usually, and then wake up at 6. My junior year is incredibly important. She has even started asking for me to work on weekends, which I can't even spend time with friends because I am catching up on a week's worth of work. Next, every time I ask for a day off, she loses it. I have been planning a trip to Europe with my school for about a year now. I told her about it when I first started working for her, and it's happening in a few weeks. Last week she told me I couldn't go because she needed someone to babysit her daughter. She explicitly told me I couldn't go. She didn't ask if I would skip it, she said I couldn't. I explained it was fully paid for and non-refundable and an experience I do not want to miss out on, and she started crying and screaming at how inconsiderate I am, how she's going to have to take a week off of work, lose her job, ect. I'm honestly baffled at this, considering I told her in September. Her 21-year-old son also lives at home and does not have a job or go to school. I am wondering why he can't watch her for a week, or really at all. When I asked why her son couldn't watch her, she said he was getting a job. This was in January. He still does not have a job. Now on to the real problem. She has assumed, without consulting me, that I will be working for her from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day during summer and then continue the schedule I have now onto my senior year. I have not even managed to save up enough for a decent car because she doesn't pay well, and I am definitely not going to continue this. I have resigned to do it until my junior year ends, but that's it. This summer I am doing a range of programs for pre-college and major type programs. I will be busy, and my senior year I am taking an online high school class as well as 2 college classes outside of school. I will simply not have the time nor energy to deal with this woman and her child any longer. My question is this: how can I get out of this? I want to tell her way ahead of time so that she doesn't have more leverage to guilt trip me about when the time comes for me to stop working for her. I have brought this up once before and she yelled at me and claimed I was trying to get her to lose her job because she will have no one to watch her daughter. I don't know how to get out of this without being guilt tripped. It is not my responsibility to care for her daughter for the year, when I took this as a casual after-school job. Edit. I have spoken to my mother about this and she told me to honor my commitment I made. My father is not in the picture, so I can't speak to him. Thank you very much for all the advice I have been given, it really means a lot. I have tried speaking to friends about this, but they all have jobs working at McDonald's and things like that, so they have set schedules, pay, ect. I live in a very small town and there is not a daycare or things of the sort. I forgot to mention that she also drives me home afterwards, 5 to 10 minute drive, since I don't have a car, and claims the gas money to drive me home is part of the reason she can't pay me more. Update. First, thank everyone who responded. I was very surprised to see the outpouring of people who could relate / had helpful advice. I'm sorry I didn't respond to everyone, but I'm very thankful. I want to say that I kind of fudged the part about her being my aunt. She's not really, she's my mom's distant cousin that happens to live in our town. I was looking for a job and my mom saw on Facebook she asked for someone to babysit her kid. So, she's not technically close family even. I just didn't want the post to be specific because I don't know if who was involved goes on Reddit, but I don't care anymore. So, what happened was I talked to my not really aunt the day before I had to leave to go on my school trip to Europe. I kind of planned this in a way that she couldn't try to talk me back into while I was gone, since I had no access to texting. The day before I talked to my aunt, I told my mom everything and how my school work was being affected and that it wasn't helping out family anymore, it was being taken advantage of, and all of the points that were brought up by other Redditors. She finally agreed that it was wrong of me to be doing, and that her son should watch the kid or someone else who actually could control the kid better. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the last post, but the kid I babysit has increasingly become badly behaved. One day I dyed my hair brown and she said, "Why would you do that? You look like a fudging monster," as an example. So, onto the drama. When my not really aunt dropped me off at my house, I stayed in the car so I could talk to her, and I said that I would be unable to continue watching kid when I returned from school. She immediately tried to say that that wasn't possible, she doesn't have anyone else, I touched on a few points such as, my grades are failing. I'm taking a college class and finals are coming up, I need to study. I cannot control her kid well enough anymore. The kid wasn't in the car during this conversation, her brother was watching her at the time. I am not being paid enough. She tried to convince me at this point she would pay me more soon. I told her I didn't want more money, I just didn't want to babysit anymore. I told her to look for other babysitters. I told her to go to care.com, I always see the commercials. I figured I might as well try something. At the end of it all, she basically told me that if I wasn't there to babysit the Monday I got back, then she would be extremely disappointed and called me selfish and said that I didn't care for family. At this point I was kind of annoyed and I just got out of the car and went inside. I asked my mom to go talk to her because I kind of figured she wouldn't take me seriously. My mom lied to her and said that I could no longer work, like it was a punishment, because my grades were failing. She got pretty irritated and remarked how I wasn't adult enough to handle working and schoolwork at the same time, and that made my mom pretty mad and they got in a fight about it. I'm glad that my mom stood up for me, though. Anyways, after that things seemed okay. I got back and didn't go to babysit, there was a few texts like maybe next year you could help again. And I was just thinking nope. I waited a while to post this in case something else happened, but the most that's happened is her asking if I could watch her kid for a day or something like that. I never respond because I don't want to incite anything. All in all, I'm done my college classes, I'm going to be a senior soon, and maybe next year I can find a real job that I enjoy and get paid for.